So I want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today in this webinar called Work It Life Itself. And here I outline the three initial steps to creating work and life balance. And as moms, we know that work and life balance is something that we all need. We all need it. And for those that don't know me, my name is Latifah, and I am a Christian career strategist. And I prepare working millennial moms to get promoted so they can success while living a balanced lifestyle. And I do this by providing um, career coaching, life coaching for moms who really want to excel not only at work, but also at home, because there is a mixture. It is a mixture, and that creates that work and life balance. And I do this, or I'm passionate about it, because I myself went from job to job trying to figure out how to do both, because I didn't know how to do both, and have a career that really identified me, that really defined who I was. And it was hard. It was really hard. And so with that, with my experience, with several years, I have about 13 years in the career coaching field. I developed my own organization, own career development coaching organization called Visionary Initiatives. And from that birth, the opportunity to be in the workspace of other organizations to really help moms to excel both at home and work. This webinar is for those working moms who feel like they need to be efficient, more efficient with their time, or they experience that mom guilt, which we all have. And some of us feel like we're missing out on the most important moments in our child's life because we have to work. We have to be at work at a certain time, leave at a certain time, or we have competing projects at work that need to be done, along with competing things that the kids want to do with, or maybe our husbands want to. And then, quite frankly, a lot of us don't know exactly what it is we want to do in our career. We, like myself, go job to job to job, trying to figure it out while we're going, and still not happy. And while we're doing that, we're just drained, physically, mentally, spiritually drained from doing that. And so I want to help you to be able to show up in both. So I want to share with you today the three initial steps where you can create that work and life balance, not just for yourself, but for your family as well. One of the first things that I share with moms is, one, to let go of the mom guilt. And if you should have received a workbook to go along with this webinar. And if you haven't, then I'll be sure to send you the workbook along with the replay of today's webinar. But one, letting go of the mom guilt. One of the things we have to understand is that we expect perfection so much, but we don't live in a perfection or perfect world. And so we cannot expect perfection from ourselves. Even though we were created perfect, we live in an imperfect world. And what caught my eye is this study by Nuke. They surveyed 2,000 moms in 2013, and it stated that 87% of them felt guilty at some point, 21% feeling this way most of the time, and then 69% of them feeling guilty over a ratio of their work and life balance. And then 40% of them worrying that they're not devoting enough time to their children. This is deep. This is really, really deep, because so many of us do feel this way. And it's important that we don't allow ourselves to continue to have this mom guilt. And one of the things I tell moms all the time is to have your affirmations. When you are going through, having that bad day, have a list of affirmations or a creed, something that you repeat to yourself to really help you to feel better about what it is that you are doing. Why are you a working mom? What is it that you love about working? What is it that you love about being a mom? And what is it that we can do together? How can we excel this together, or put it together, so that you can be happy in both fronts? Have that affirmation that you can recite to yourself every single day, or every moment that you just feel this guilt come through. And one of the things that I learned over the years, I had a ex supervisor of mine say, Latika, you need to take personal days off to spend time with your children and your husband. So when you are at work and you take time off to go on field trips or to go on vacation or whatsoever, don't forget that that paid time off is also for you to spend time with your children during the day. Don't just use the weekends when you feel rushed, to spend time with your children. Take those personal days from work, and it could be, and I thought about different ways that you can do this. I'm not an advocate for skipping school, even though I think we all did that in high school. But if there's a time where you want your child to go to a concert or something that they really wanted to do, like my girls are into JoJo Siwa, and there was a particular time that she was coming, but she was coming during school hours. I took them to I let them leave school early, or particular days where we were supposed to be somewhere as a family, and I decided, what, we're just not going to do that today. You know what? We're going to stay at home and we're going to chill. And we're just going to play games together, play card games together, or do whatsoever. Or for your husband, maybe you are not spending enough time with your husband, or maybe he's asked you to spend some time with him. Take days off where you can spend time with him. My husband and I, we tried to take off one day a month where we either go to the movies or we do something together, like go to breakfast or something, where we just spend that time with each other. And the great thing is doing it during the weekday is that everybody's at school, so we don't have to worry about daycare, we don't have to worry about anything. We just do it while they're away, and then we make sure we come back in time to pick them up from the bus stop. But there's just some ideas that you can take to spending some time with your husband. And another thing that I absolutely love is this quote that I got from Mindy Kaling from the Working Mom magazine. And she said, that being a mom can be as challenging as it is amazing, but it's okay to say you can't do it all. So I know for myself, being a mom, it was difficult to ask for help, very difficult to ask for help. But sometimes I had to ask. I had to really ask for help, because one, I can't do it all. I had to realize I couldn't do it all. But two, all of everything should not be just on me. It should not just be on me. The second thing that I tell moms is to really establish some type of equality in your home. So as you can see here, I have a chore list for a child. I believe everybody in the house needs to have a child, a chore list for children, and for your husband. But before you get there, make sure that you write a list of all the things that you do. And I suggest, maybe for 24 hours, write down every detail of your day, from the time you're making lunches to running errands to doing laundry, whatever it is that you're doing throughout the day to take care for the home. And make sure you one, of course, pray on that on the wisdom that God has given you, and then the discernment of how your family members can help in each area. And it's going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for everybody. It's not going to look the same, but every person, down to the youngest person in a household, even an infant, you can teach an infant to put their stuff away. You can teach a toddler to, put their things away. But everybody should have a chore in the house. Not everything is on you. And make sure that when you are asking God for that discernment, that you also have the discussion with your husband, praying for that discernment, to have the discussion with your husband on how you feel. Maybe you do feel that it's a burden, that you have to do everything by yourself. Ask God for that discernment on how you can communicate that to your husband, and then how you feel the entire family could help in making sure that you feel like it's not on your shoulders, if you will, and ensure that you have a solution. So you're not just coming with a problem, but also a solution. So if you feel like everything's on you, then here's the resolution. So-and-so can have this chore, so-and-so can have this chore, or let's teach so-and-so how to sweep the floor so I don't have to do it every single meal, or things like that. And the most important thing is that when you do decide on splitting up different chores or roles in the home, that you have some type of common standard. And what I mean by that is for instance, when I say to my husband, clean the kitchen, I mean clean the entire kitchen, sweep the floor, mop the floor, wipe the table down, clean the counters off, put the food away, make sure the dishes are put away, make sure the dishes are in the dishwasher, make sure the sink is cleaned out. That doesn't necessarily mean to him the same thing. So I have to make sure that I break it down, that he understands what my standard is, and then we understand what the standard is, because his standards are not my standards. So when you're having a conversation with your husband or with your children, what is the standard? When I mean clean the kitchen, your role is to clean the kitchen, or I mean for you to clean your bedroom, what does that mean? Clean your bedroom means making up your bed or putting the toys away, or hanging up your clothes. Whatever it means, make sure there's a standard that everyone can agree upon, so you're not having to go back and clean up after someone because they didn't clean the counter when you told them to clean the kitchen. So make sure there's a standard, because that's going to alleviate any type of overwhelming thought thought that you have to go back and clean up after that person. And then that person feeling, oh, I'm not good enough to clean, then I'm just not going to clean anyway. And then you're back to square one. So make sure you have effective communication on what that standard means. And then again, just going back to, spending time with your husband and your children, it's so important that we do that. And then ourselves, that we have that time for ourselves as well. And the other thing to understand is that everyone in the house, you and your husband, have a career that is equally important. No one's career is more important than the other. But who's going to focus on their career right now? Who's going to focus in the next year to 3 to 5 years from now? Are you going to try to get to an executive level, or open up your own business, or do this? Okay, that's fine. Then let me scale back on some of my responsibilities at work. Let me not take on extra projects because I know I need to be at home more, so that you can focus on this. And then in 2-3 years from now, we'll switch and it'll be my turn, because you'll be at a steady place, and we can switch. So make sure that you have that understanding of where you guys want to be in your career. And then with that, establish, again, standards or rules of what's going to happen when the children are sick. If you have multiple children, who's going to do what? If the school calls and, Timothy is sick, who's going to make that call? Make the stop and come get him from school? Or who's going to take them to the doctor's office on, this particular day? really sit there and have that conversation with your husband, your partner. Let them know how you feel, how equally important your both of your careers are, and that everything should not be all on you. Should not be all on mom to do everything. And one of the interesting things that I read is that a lot of times we as women just kind of just pick up on things. So we don't communicate with our spouse on what it is that we're supposed or that we need help with. We just assume, oh, because I'm mommy, I'm going to do it. Because I'm mommy, I should go pick them up, or I should take the sick leave off from work because I'm mommy. And what I read in research is that most men just kind of go with that because you are a mommy, because you didn't say anything, that it's okay. If school calls daddy first, daddy's going to call mommy and say, mommy, you need to go pick up your daughter. Having those standards, having those conversations to say, hey, if the school calls you, and you're able to go, go. If you're not able, then yes, that's when you call me and say whatsoever. So something to think about. And then the last thing or last tip that I always tell folks is to create an action plan to get to the next level in your career. So on top of making sure that you're not overwhelmed at home, also making sure that you have a plan for your career. Where are you going to go in your career? So as you reflect on why you are a working mother, what is your reason to be a working woman, working mother, a career-driven mother? What is your reason? Do you love what you do? Are you passionate about what you do and you want to do both? Are you satisfied with that decision? And then what are your goals within the next short term, midterm, and long term? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Because a lot of times we go and go and go and go, but we don't see the end, or we can't feel the end, or we don't know what the end is because we're going without a goal. And then with that goal, do you need to obtain more education? Do you need to go get a certification or a degree or get extra experience, maybe volunteer work or such? What does that look like? And then when you've reached your goals, do your research on what positions, what organizations, what companies will allow you to have that work and life balance. Once you've identified what that means, where can you practice that? Working Mother magazine now has the top list of, I think it's 40 places in the United States, in the United States, that you can work and have that work-life balance. A lot of them are in New York, but there are places out there that provide that work-life balance for working moms. And I'm talking about working moms all the way to the executive level. And then the main thing is, what are you going to do in the next quarter to get you closer to finishing or achieving your career goals? So really having that plan of action of what are you going to do. And if you have the workbook, that workbook outlines exactly how you can do that. So I really encourage you to use the action plan, the 30-60-day action plan, along with the career strategic vision of how you can get to that next level in your career. And then a bonus tip is, one, to make sure you give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. So as you can see in this survey, that so many of us moms feel that it's a huge responsibility to take care of themselves along with their family. So give yourself grace. Someone had asked me, why do you cater, or why do you serve millennial moms when all moms are going through right now? And I don't doubt that, because all moms at one point or another have challenges, are overwhelmed, are exhausted, feel defeated in their role as being a mom and a career-driven woman. Um, but one of the things that I feel that we have as a disadvantage is social media. And in this time period, in the era that the millennials have grown up in, all we know is social media. Um, it may not have been Instagram and Facebook back then, but in middle and high school, it was, oh my goodness, so many other places. It was MySpace. I remember Black Planet. Um, Man, there was another one, but there were so many other social media platforms. And because of that, we've grown up into this culture where everything is glorified on social media. So when you look at these pictures on social media, everybody is so happy. Everyone's family is so put together. And then when you look at yourself, it's like, wait a minute, what happened? Where am I? So I just want to encourage you to give yourself grace, because a lot of times when we're looking at those pictures, those are just pictures. They're still captured moments. We don't know what's behind those still captured moments. And those moments they don't capture the happiness, the true happiness. And we have to give ourselves grace. We can't compare ourselves to other people. We have to understand, and I love this scripture right here at Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. And I'm sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. So as you are going through your day, that you understand that God gave you the equipment, honestly, to do the work that he has called for you to do. And that is to be a mother, and to be a wife, and to be a career-driven woman. So when you are at a point where you compare yourself to other people, or you feel like your child is not doing this, or you feel like your career should be here, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. And we're not in a perfect world. We're not perfection. We are not perfection. So we cannot expect perfection out of our families, out of our lives, or our careers. We have to give ourselves that grace. And then practice patience when we are giving ourselves that grace. Work-life balance won't happen overnight, but it will happen. It takes patience. And it also takes sacrifice or commitment, being faithful to having work-life balance. And understand that even though you will begin to practice, implement equality in your home, it's not going to happen overnight. It will take some time, but it will happen. The longer you get into a repetitive schedule, repetitive chore list, it's going to happen, and life will be a lot easier than it is. It really is. And so I wanted to really further this conversation with you about creating a better work and life balance for you and your family and your career. So if you are interested in learning more about how to have this work and life balance, I definitely encourage you to leave a comment and let me know, so that we can have a further conversation about this.